Hi, I'm Rick Reef. Welcome to SoCal Insider. Well, it was once a sprawling ranch stretching from the sands of the Newport coast to the mountains of the Cleveland National Forest. Today, the Irvine Ranch is America's biggest, and many say the model planned community, a super suburbia. Safe, clean, lots of manicured homes, good schools, a world-class resort. But for all that, is it too cookie-cutter, a little too Stepford wife? Well, we'll hear from an author and former executive at the ranch. But first, the deep divisions in Anaheim. Orange County's oldest and largest city has been torn apart by disputes over the Angels baseball team, tax breaks for a hotel developer, and demands by many in the Latino community for a greater voice in that city. The issues have pitted Mayor Tait against the council majority, and that majority has just taken away some of his powers. Joining me, Anaheim Council Member Kris and Anaheim Mayor Tait. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
So, Kris, are you guys kind of playing political hardball here? Earlier this year, you cut the mayor's budget, and now you've passed something he used to be able to just put on the agenda pretty much what he wants, and now he needs a second vote to do that. Explain that.
Well, actually, Rick, I'd love to be able to correct the record on that. The council action to amend the budget last year was done universally. First, implement pension reform, and second, to set the budgets equal among all officers.
Yeah, the mayor got a little more than other council members, and now you cut him back, so now he's the same as other council members.
We made it equal, that's correct.
Right.
And then the item that was taken up on Monday was a procedural item to require that all council members, all 5 members of the council, offer their agenda items in a public setting at a scheduled meeting versus in secret or behind closed doors at City Hall. We wanted it all done up front and at the dais.
So, Tom, what about that? This was a transparent move. So you're saying it's not hardball. You guys are not playing hardball with the mayor?
No, it doesn't require a second. Anybody can ask for it.
This isn't political payback because you're...
No, I really disagree with that characterization.
Okay. Tom, are they paying you back?
Well, this meeting was Monday after the meeting where I put the Angel deal on the agenda. That's my powers as mayor. So we did that, and as soon as that meeting is over, actually during the meeting, they agendized this motion or this agenda item to take my powers away to put something on the agenda for the people. I mean, it's a people's meeting. I've got constituents who might want to have something on placed on the agenda. I don't have those powers.
Okay, Kris, what's wrong? And we're going to get to you referenced the Angel deal. We're going to get into this Angel deal so viewers know what it's about. But what's wrong with letting the mayor have? He's the mayor. Doesn't the mayor have a little more power, a little more authority? If he wants to put something on the agenda, why would, because there are some things he wants to put on the agenda that maybe the rest of you don't want him to. Why not let him do it?
Well, there's nothing that happened on Monday that prevents him from agendizing an item for public consideration. Nothing. And the charter does allow, if there's an emergency purpose, the mayor to call a special meeting at any time. That is the only special power.
Why make it harder? What's the harm if the mayor wants to, before a meeting, put something on the agenda?
I guess I'm not sure why it makes it harder. I think as much public disclosure on how we agendize the business of the people is important.
All right, let's, so I guess we're not going to get to the, but Tom, do you think it's hardball? Are they playing hardball?
Of course it's hardball. Of course it's hardball.
And Kris, you say
well,
no.
I think what's hardball is when we have the chambers filled with hate speech, and that's what happened on Monday, and that really is what should be the story, is the presiding officer not taking action to stop what was some very clear, horrific things that were anti-Semitic and attack on...
Explain this. So you had this meeting, so some people showed up to protest what you were doing as far as...
well, clearly
and
supporters.
So there were anti-Semitic comments?
There were horribly anti-Semitic comments made, and until Lucille Kring and I asked the mayor to intervene, there was nothing done to stop it. And the presiding officer is the only one with the gavel to try to correct that kind of behavior.
Tom, I see you shaking your head.
Well, clearly supporters. There's one gentleman who comes to our meetings, every meeting, ran against me for mayor, actually had to bring suit against him, so hardly a supporter, said some terrible things. But as you know, at that meeting, at a council meeting, that mic is privileged, and you could say slanderous, terrible things, and there's very little we can do about it. The same gentleman brought suit against the County of Orange for trying to stop him a few years ago. So there's not a whole lot you could do.
So, Kris,
but of course, it's interesting that she brings this up. Of course, I'm abhorred by that. I've asked the city manager and the city attorney to see what we could do, if there is anything, to stop, just, terrible racist things that were said, and of course I hate that.
Okay, so Kris, were you suggesting that Tom was party to what was being said here?
Not a party to it, but he is the presiding officer, and he does have privileges to control decorum in the meeting. This has actually been escalating and going on for years. It is largely driven by supporters, unfortunately, of the mayor, and the character attacks on the council have been escalating, and it escalated against Jordan Brandman on Monday in a very ugly and horrific way, and I think all members of our Jewish community, as well as members who happen to be gay of our community, should be outraged what was said, and I wish that more had been done earlier. We've been asking for decorum policies for a number of years now.
Well, to somehow try to blame me for what this fellow said at a public meeting. All sorts of things are said at those public meetings. This one was outrageous. To somehow blame me, it's kind of more of this hardball attack against me for something that someone else said. It's kind of crazy.
Okay, let's talk about the Angel deal. Okay, and Kris, why is this, there's this plan now, there's been a member of understanding signed. The whole objective for the city is to keep the Angels in Anaheim. Why is this a good deal, this proposed deal? Why is it good for the city?
First and foremost, the council is committed to protecting Anaheim taxpayers to keep the team in place, to ensure there's no impact on the general fund, and to ensure as much economic activity, not only with the city's asset, which is Angel Stadium, but the land around it. There is no deal in place. There is a framework to just start negotiations, and that's where we're at today.
So explain the framework very simply. What does the city get? What do the Angels get?
There is no, the initial even sit down to start negotiations hasn't occurred yet, so I can't answer you.
But there's a memorandum of understanding.
Right.
Well, then let me say what I understand is that basically there'd be $150 million that hopefully the city's going to give a big chunk of land to Artie Moreno around the ballpark that he can develop. And they're basically giving him that land, leasing it to him for nothing so that he can develop it. That would generate, and that's a big, potentially very lucrative thing. That will generate enough money to cover $150 million that's needed for stadium upgrades. The city is going to relieve itself of like $600,000 a year that it has to put into the stadium right now. So basically the city breaks even and Moreno has potential to make a lot of money. Is that a fair
No, I don't
summary?
think that's a fair summary. If I may, I would like to share with you that one, there are a number of items that were listed on the framework as a starting point, but nothing that's been agreed to, nothing that was binding. And the city does have an asset that's almost 50 years old. It has about $150 million worth of upgrades. That's something we certainly don't want the Anaheim taxpayers to have to absorb. So we're looking at a number of innovative options to partner with the team to develop the land around the stadium. But again, nothing has been agreed to at this stage.
Tom, has nothing been agreed to, and why is whatever that's potentially being agreed to not a good deal?
Well, it's a memorandum of understanding. It's agreement to agree. If you look at the document, at the last page of the document, it says agreed to, signed by Artie Moreno and signed by the city. So it's not a start in negotiations. This has been on the closed session agenda for months. So to say it's a start in negotiations, you don't start negotiations with an MOU where the city has agreed already. The city's agreed in the MOU to transfer property, 155 acres, around the stadium, the parking lot, where three freeways come together in Orange County, worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Transfer that to an entity owned by Artie Moreno, not even Angel Baseball. That's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So this isn't a wash for the city. This is a huge transfer of assets.
But Tom, nothing has happened there. The city's had this for years and years, and nothing has happened there. So why is it really worth that much to the city?
Well, it's entitled for 5,100 residential units, 3 million square feet of commercial, and 3 million square feet.
Why hasn't any of that happened?
Well, because the city hasn't put it up for sale, frankly. We did for 55 acres back in 2007, just 55 acres. A developer came through and offered $200 million just for 55 acres. And then the recession happened, and a number of reasons that didn't develop. But no, this is prime. I mean, it's prime development property.
Are you afraid?
Let me see. Now, Artie Moreno and the Angels do have rights to surface park over 120. There are 1,200 spaces, or 12,000 spaces. So the city, we can't really, for that part of the property, we really can't do a whole lot without working with Artie Moreno. So I think there's win-wins here. win-win could be we joint venture with the Angels 50-50 on a development. That way we would make a ton of money, and he would make a ton of money. And that would be something reasonable. And the name, by the way...
Kris, something else about this is that the council extended the opt-out for Artie Moreno. He had until 2016 to decide whether he wanted to stay in Anaheim or leave. You moved that to 2019, and there's been a lot of criticism of that you're basically now giving him 6 years to find a new home instead of 3, and that you've lost leverage. Why did you guys extend it?
Well, I'm not sure how you characterize that we lost leverage. The agreement, if folks don't believe there's any threat to the Angels leaving, then extending the current agreement so we can have a thoughtful, deliberative process that engages the public.
3 years is a long time.
3 years is a long time, but negotiating a Major League Baseball arrangement does take years. And you look at cities across the country, and it does take that much time.
And it takes years to move, too, right? I mean, in other words, what I'm saying is 3 years, it seemed like Anaheim had the advantage, 2016. You make it 2019, and now the Angels have the advantage. They've got time to look elsewhere.
Well, I just don't agree, and well, maybe we just disagree on that. But the point is, the council did try to take action a year ago to start negotiations, and the mayor objected.
Okay.
We tried in November of last year to begin the process, and it was objected to, and in part because the mayor had conflicts that he needed to resolve so he could be a part of the process. We need some ample time to do this right, and we're going to do what's best on behalf of the taxpayers. I'd also like to offer, on Tuesday, I've been doing some research among other cities that have negotiated these deals, and a number of them have put in place task forces so that the residents can be engaged in reviewing the deal points as they are negotiated and review community benefits. And so on Tuesday at our next meeting, I'll be asking the city manager to come back with recommendations to establish a residents task force.
I wish we could talk more about the Angels, but there are a couple things to move on.
Well,
Tom,
for one, I never.
All right, go ahead. Tom.
I never objected. And why would the city give another 3 years? The existing deal, the Angels would have to move by 2016. That's the existing deal.
Okay.
It's practically impossible for them to go anywhere by 2016. We had all the leverage.
It's a big gamble.
The council gave that away. We had the leverage. The council gave that away.
Okay. Do you have any worries? I think we're going to have to stick with the Angels because we're almost out of time. So we'll stay with the Angels.
We'll come back and talk about this.
Kris, are you afraid that some of the things Tom's saying will chase the Angels out of town?
I'm concerned that it's not negotiating in good faith when you conduct a very extensive series of media interviews and meet with our nonprofits and community groups across the city to say we have a bad deal when we haven't even started the process. There are communities across Southern California that would welcome a Major League Baseball team. I mean, Anaheim lost the Rams. We haven't had any prospects of having another NFL team come back to Orange County or Southern California. I certainly don't want to gamble with losing the Angels, but my first priority is to protect the Anaheim taxpayers.
Tom, are you gambling with losing the Angels?
No, I'm not gambling with losing the Angels. My job is to look after that asset that belongs to the people of Anaheim. That 150 acres belongs to the people. It's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The MOU, which is all we have to go on, because that's what the council voted on and agreed to and signed that document, that is the deal as of today. That property is owned by all the people. We're about ready to give it to one person. Hundreds of millions of dollars. That's why I'm fighting about this.
Okay, Tom, you're up as mayor. Your term is up in 2014, and right now you're the one, and many times you're the one vote, 4-1 against you. You know there's going to be somebody running against you. Are you planning to run again for mayor?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I love this job.
Okay, and Kris, will you either be running for mayor or supporting somebody else for mayor?
I am running for city council, and I'll be focused on my own race. I am going to continue to work for Anaheim to bring jobs to our city, to grow our economy, and to ensure that we're investing in our communities, and I look forward to that race. Okay, well, thank you, both of you for coming on and giving your sides of a very contentious time in the city of Anaheim. Thank you.